Various measures were proposed which would not have aggravated the situation. You're the best advertising executive this company has ever had. A renowned economist is selected to have a speech tonight at 8. Facebook is one of the most popular websites in the world today. Student discount cards can be used on campus at the coffee house. The content of the book on the cover must be in capitals. The hardness of the butter is proportional to the softness of the bread. Traffic is very bad in the evening, therefore we must leave early. Few people now are skeptical about alternative power sources such as wind power. How much time did you spend on doing research before you started writing? If you like to take notes, you can, but there will be handouts. May the love of those around you help you through the days ahead. There is an urgent need for people to help clean up the environment. You can change your courses on the website during the registration period. Everyone wanted to meet the artist and discuss the work they were interested in. Students are afraid of writing an essay, because they have learned nothing about it. I don't agree with the author's point of view, but his presentation is good. Our university has strong partnerships with industry as well as collaborative relationships with government bodies. I look for the day when 1 billion planets are populated with 1 billion people each. After she lost her job, she couldn't afford to feed her dogs, so she gave them away. I look in my closet for something to wear, but I couldn't find anything appropriate for the occasion. A lot of people who have up until now been spending money having a good time now need to be more careful with their money. Participants were not performing an actual purchase. Generally, students have unusual problems in school. In the past, people ate very different food. A science-based approach is vital for effective advancements. Diagnosis is not a discrete or limited process. The chemistry building is still open during vacation. The television output is giving evident educational programming. I spent my time really studying human beings. But they haven't come to widespread use yet. In market, short-time thought often lead to disaster. Most of the strategies are in a preclinical state. Quantitative and temporal parameters of food consumption were used. We developed a method for evaluation of dynamic changes. It provides an opportunity to work with other disciplines. Hypothetically, insufficient mastery in the areas slows future progress. The investigation aims to establish stains of the problem. It's important to keep this medicine in the fridge. Chapter 1 provides the historical background to the topic. Storytelling is a common teaching technique in many countries. Folk tales are passed orally from generation to generation. You need to be careful when quoting internet source. My satisfaction was complete when she looked at me. You can pay by cash or using a credit card. The largest department in this university is History Department. Before choosing your university course, you should consider your career. This process has enabled the rational identification of core machinery. There has been a rapid growth in the commercial market. Some methods for clinical applications have been presented as well. It is easy to provide the definition of the world. You can download all lecture handouts from the course website. His academic supervisor called in to see him last night. The new professor used to work in a World Bank. Many medical volunteers no longer have access to medical literature. Would you pass the material textbook on the table? University students pay a lot of money for their education. The politics combine both the legislative and the political authorities. The website interface represents the stimulus that influence consumers' decision-making. This essay examined the use of computer in the science classroom. Genetic and biochemical analyses have generated a detailed portfolio of mechanisms. The aim of the work presented could be formulated as follows. The university will introduce several new courses in the coming year. In our university, students have access to 13 college libraries. You need to give a better example to support your argument. Once more, under the pressure of economic necessity, practice outstripped theory. The well-known economist was supposed to reread the subscription before 8. You can retake the module if your marks are too low. Students who selected 2 to 3 courses may need an extension. The program will be shown on the television during the weekend. He told me it was the most important assignment of all. It is good for the environment, also good for your bill. A key feature in drug development is examination of the pharmacological effects. The current and conventional method has many disadvantages, including the side effects. Students are not allowed to take the journal out of the library. The lecture management in Japan will take place in the week 7. Is hypothesis on black hole as rendered moot as explanation of explanations? Meeting with mentors can be scheduled for students who require additional support. Politicians can make better decisions if they listen to the public opinion. The problem with this is that it fails to answer the basic question. Higher fees cause the student to look more critically at what universities offer. One of the hardest things about starting university is finding your way around. There is absolutely no archaeological evidence to prove that Alexander the Great existed. 100 years ago, Albert Einstein first published his theory of general relativity. During the second term, you are supposed to submit 1 essay per week. The gap between the rich and the poor was not decreased rapidly as expected. Proteins constitute at least 30% of the total mass of all living organism. The chief industries are weaving, leather making, dyeing and working in iron and pottery. People with active lifestyles are less likely to die early or have major illnesses. There is a limited amount of departmental funding which is available for qualified students. I am pleased to report that many topics have been involved in this lecture. The search for universal explanations plays an important role in the development of archaeological theory. Please sort and order the slides of the presentation according to topic and speech time. I expect a long and stagnant debate for a week or 2 on this issue. Today, we will be discussing the role of the government in preventing injustice. Arteries carry blood from heart to the other parts of the body. We didn't have any noticeable variance between the 2 or 3 tasks. You should inquire about the direct deposit. The United States has the maximum production of chocolate. It's within the framework that we carry out our survey. We would like a videotape for the lecture. My tutorial class will begin on next Monday morning. This small Indian state is a land of forest valleys and snowy islands. If you want to sell your book, it must have a list of bibliography. Student residential hall is very close to the academic building, which is in a walking distance. A demonstrated ability to write clear, correct, and concise English is to write a bibliography. I used to have a cup of coffee with milk and 1 sugar. Those reference books are too old, while the others are okay. Fishing is a sport and a means for survival. As a student union member, we can influence the change of the university. The sports team members often practice on weekdays and play games on weekends. It seems that language appeared from nowhere. They have enough works to keep them going. His lecture is always useful and stimulated. In my free time, I would like to read current affairs and newspapers. Animals grow larger and stronger to help them hunt better. There is a plan in place for those who have difficulty paying their bills. I don't understand what the comments on my essay mean at all. Our fundamental realities, especially national needs, have seen the ability to flourish. The Student Service Center is located on the main campus behind the library. Our School of Arts and Technology accepts applications at all points during the year. There are a range of housing options near the university. The new English class will start next Monday morning. All source of materials must be included in your bibliography. The negative discourse continues to be predominant in discussions about gender. She told the faculty to be very supportive. This lecture was meant to start at 10. His objection to include scientific evidence has brought a lot of criticisms to him. Many undergraduate students go back home to stay with their parents after graduation. The program depends entirely on private funding. Essays with few or no citations will be regarded as invalid. We didn't mean to ask him to do it because he cannot manage it. Make sure the financial director knows the full details of the pay agreement. Expertise in particular areas distinguishes you from other graduates. In a job interview, we need to make sure the school principal know about the changes. We want to attract the very best students regardless of their financial circumstances. The Genetic Biology Technology Lab is located in the north wing of the library. The older equipment has been put at the back of the building. There is considerably less supervision at university. This is a prestigious program for our university. Students are competing for every place in the computer courses. Anxiety decreases rapidly when a person has more optimism and faith. I even know our baby's name when she looked at me. Organic food is grown without applying chemicals and possesses no artificial additives. Newspapers across the world reported stories of presidents. We're constantly looking for ways to bring industry and agriculture close together. I would like an egg and tomatoes on white sandwich bread with orange juice. Students should book a library tour in the first week of the first semester. Since the problems we face are global, we need to find the relative solutions. Care needs to be taken for vulnerable groups in the times of infection. In 1880, cycling became a major phenomenon in the United States. More muscles are used in swimming than other sports. She is going to do master degree by mathematics. It's within that framework that we carry our survey. It is interesting to observe the development of language skills of toddlers. We will see if we can get through this without too many interruptions. Many of the university's original buildings are still in use. The key to success in the exam is to study hard and do well. In marketing, short-term thinking often leads to disasters. We have to read the first 5 chapters in preparation for next Monday's tutorial. Robert would live in rural areas in London. The internet provides unusual opportunities for students and current events. Children can share their lunch at around noon. The university has a lot of travel scholarships available that students can apply for. To get further extension, you need to call the education executive on 401. The timetable will be posted on the website before the class starts. Anonymous behaviors can be identified without intervention. The undergraduate students are teaching with a rigorous course in our psychology department. With the development of technology, something brings a lot of benefits to the US. Our university accommodation has a volleyball team for students to join in. The trip for the professional training will start soon, so pack the items before we leave. The competency in the language in the assignment is to use more formal words. In the dark, before the dawn, the plane was assembled. Lots of students had money and passports stolen, especially at night. Unfortunately, their immune systems were not strong enough to fight off common earthly bacteria. The number of companies in bankruptcy skyrocketed in the third quarter. We are so dependent on the computer that we cannot live without it. She feared becoming an object of ridicule. You need to read the chapter before the management class. Applications for the course preferably have a preference over English or journalism. It is argued that students can learn more in collaborative rather than individual study. My laptop has crashed and cannot save any file. The translator is not available in our department. Before reading Chapter 1, you must refer to the lecture notes first. It is of interest to most students to take experiential learning course. All old buildings are still in use. Our capacity to respond to national needs will determine our ability to flourish. Every living thing begins as a single cell. Children are not allowed to be in the laboratory at any time. All old university buildings are still in use. The rules on breaks and lunch hours vary from company to the next. Contemporary critics dismissed his idea as eccentric. All old university buildings are still in use. Our capacity to respond to national needs will determine our ability to flourish. It is argued that students can learn more in collaborating rather than as individual. I could not save my work as my computer was crashed. Humans have the ability to mentally say over 700 words a minute. Proficiency in a foreign language may be demonstrated by assessment. Native discourse continues to be predominate in discussion of gender. The undergraduate students are taught with a rigorous course in our psychology department. I'm glad you arrived here with safety.